Good afternoon, Paso Robles. It's Gina DiGirolamo with the Heart of Paso. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're watching this now, please share the video with other people that are in the area and even people who aren't in the area, because today we're going to have a really great conversation about Paso, local community, but also as a wonderful tourist destination, as we all know it is. The other thing I wanted to share with you is if you're watching this on a replay, or you can also look for it on YouTube on Healing Heart TV. There's several platforms that this is being shown on. So go ahead, share it around. And please, if you want to ask questions, we're going to take questions at the end of the show. You can put them in the comments and we will address them. But today, I wanted to introduce my guests, Stacy Jacobs and Mike Dawson, who are representing Travel Paso. So I'm going to bring them in right. Hey guys.
Hi, how are you?
Hey.
Good. Hey, there you are, Mike. Took you a second, but we got you. So it's great to see you guys. And I guess let's just quickly start off with really letting people understand what is Travel Paso. I know we've all seen some great marketing campaigns for Travel Paso, the great billboards that we have right there, especially right off of the Niblick Bridge, the billboard there, which I notice has changed over the last few weeks. But if you want to give us a little synopsis on that and tell me what's going on in our little COVID incubator here.
So Travel Paso. Yeah, great. Travel Paso is the tourism organization for the community of Paso Robles. We are funded through what we call a tourism business improvement district. So when guests come in to stay in our lovely community and sleep in a hotel, vacation rental, or RV park, they pay an assessment, essentially an additional percentage that goes to fund our marketing efforts. And so it's a really interesting opportunity, way that the businesses have all said, let's self-assess ourselves to create this ongoing marketing fund. And that's really the genesis of how Travel Paso gets its marketing dollars to be able to do those great billboards and those various campaigns. Traditionally, our work is always focused on bringing guests to the area. That's what we do. We are about promoting this destination to awesome places, both regionally and nationally and globally, to make Paso Robles really that premier wine country destination. However, in COVID times, our role changes pretty drastically, pretty quickly. Our role has evolved from promoting this area to really protecting, preserving, and really helping this area look at what is now its new role in COVID times. And so we have gone from the outward bound messaging to really inward bound, and first and foremost aligning with our various partners, working with the local Chamber of Commerce, with the City of Paso Robles, with Main Street, with our tourism network really up and down the state, because we're all dealing with this pandemic issue of taking our traditional roles of bringing people here and now saying, no, it's time to focus inward. So we have been understanding how our role has evolved. It's also been really eye-opening on the value and the important role that tourism plays, not only in our community life, but in all of our personal lives, essentially. And what we're finding is that virtual connection to tourism is really, really important. And my colleague Mike has actually been helping to bring that inspirational aspect of tourism, not only to writers, but to also get folks excited about what this region has to offer.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, obviously, it's the majority of us that live here where we rely on the tourism, like you said. I mean, even if you're not a winery or a hotel, if you're a grocery store or a gas station or whatever, we know that this is where our dollars come from and how we live. So what give us a couple of specifics on what your role has been over the last few weeks, as far as I think we were talking about how, we all have been given information overload, like, and what's true, what's not true. How do we get this messaging together? Are you guys involved in that?
Absolutely. We've definitely been the collaborative partners and helping to keep, so our number one role is helping to clarify facts and disseminating that information into our constituent base. So, at first it was, can hotels stay open or not? And it was, hotels are an essential business. Even though we don't have a lot of people staying in our hotels, there is still a level of essential travel that is happening, that hotels are able to respond to. So that's one kind of very clear message. Now, the other component was, how do we help get the funding to everybody through the various small business loans that have been out there? There was lots of confusion, as we know, about that. So we helped ensure that, whether it be through us or through our partners at the Chamber of Commerce, that we were providing our constituents information and distilling that information into the folks that needed it, essentially. Now that some of our folks are getting funded and getting those loans, they're starting to bring people back to work. So there's some of the opportunities that brings. We have a testing site here in Paso Robles where we can actually, we've been promoting working with the city to make sure that people know how and where they can get tested if they think they may have COVID. And so, again, trying to be a disseminator of information, knowing that our people are reading different things than maybe that are reading the city sites, than are reading the Paso Wine Alliance. So if you're reading them all, you might feel like, wow, it's a lot of information overload.
It's a ton, yeah.
We all hit different channels. So we've been trying as a leadership team to make sure we're talking about these aspects, making sure we're understanding what the core messages are, and then disseminating that information out to our audience, essentially.
Well, that's great. I mean, obviously you guys are doing a lot more than, just worrying about our tourism. You're really a strong link in our community. And that's what the reason why I created the Heart of Paso is I wanted people to know what businesses are doing other than what you think, because there's many layers when we get into us being in this situation. We all have our day-to-day life that we have to deal with, our home life, our children, our parents, whatever else you're having to take care of, but we have a responsibility to each other as a community. And it's awesome to hear that Travel Paso is taking a huge role in that. So I'm really glad to hear that. Tell me about this concept of this armchair travel that we kind of talked about earlier in our pre-interview. And maybe Mike, you want to take this?
Sure. Yeah. Just from the very beginning, when the lockdown orders first began, travel and leisure editor Jackie Gifford, who's a friend and fan of Paso, she said something really smart. She talked about our role now in the travel industry and the travel media. And that she was extending that to DMOs like Travel Paso, is to create virtual experiences. And our thinking in the very beginning of this was to how do we, as we all know that Travel and Leisure named us a top 50 place to visit in 2020. The New York Times, top 52 places to visit. And then we got hit with a crisis. So we're all thinking, first and foremost, how do we keep Paso Robles out there? But very quickly, it became almost a service to our would-be former travel, our tourists and future tourists, to provide them literally with a service of escapism. And so that armchair escapism is what we focused on. And with the Travel Paso team, and then working with other partners, Sensorio, the Paso Wine Alliance, et cetera, we created a virtual experience page on the Travel Paso site. And then subsequently helped promote that, and it's gotten a lot of hits. And there's one of Sensorio, just drone footage of Sensorio, so you could a true escapism right there.
Well, I'm going to bring that in as you continue to talk about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and another one, Annie Bowski, one of the people we work with at Travel Paso, she created just a vineyard drive during the spring. This is just something that we all love to do. You can see the magpies and the mustard. The Paso Wine Alliance created shared their video on the page as well. And that page will continue to evolve. Hopefully we won't need it anymore. We actually think moving forward beyond the crisis, it's something that we can always do to use to entice people to come here once it is safe. And
sure.
Thoughtfully accepting people back in.
Yeah, definitely. You got some good content. So yeah, you got a virtual Paso. Is this the one with the drone footage?
There's the Sensorio one. Yeah, it's pretty.
We all love Sensorio, and I could just let that play a little bit as we talk because it's so beautiful. That's one of my favorite things.
Grateful Dead or Pink Floyd.
Right? Oh, we lost it. Let me bring it back in. It's so great. And, I want to ask you, since you're talking about Sensorio, just out of my own curiosity, because I so love that place. And it seems like Sensorio, since they had opened, that's so beautiful. Look at that. That's all overhead footage of Sensorio, which, to be able to fly a drone over Sensorio would be my personal dream. as a cinematographer. But in any case, Sensorio seemed to be something that really did bring a lot of people to Paso and bring awareness. Is that something that you guys were responsible for?
Oh, I would say Sensorio is a collective effort. It is such an awesome, iconic location. And we have been working very much closely with Tracy Strand, the executive director over there. And we brought lots of media to visit. But they also had their own very aggressive public relations outreach efforts, which really put them on the national and global scale. And so I would say Sensorio is this really awesome piece where it's always like, I always remind myself, like, they chose Paso. Isn't that amazing? They could have done this project anywhere, but they chose our beautiful rolling hills and this awesome backdrop of wine country that we all get to call home. And now we have a world-class art installation right here in our backyard.
It is. It's amazing. Do you know if, now we knew it was supposed to go again through June, and then this happened. Do you know if we will see Sensorio again?
I hope so.
I hope so too. I think, like a lot of things, are we going to see concerts again? Are we going to see large group events? So I think, unfortunately, Sensorio is now one of many questions that we are dealing with in our communities.
Right, which is, I think we all have to get comfortable with the question.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, though, that Sensorio, like every other business out there, for that matter, is looking how to get back and reopen eventually and safely, thoughtfully.
Yeah. So what about, let's see, Mike, you were going to also tell me a little bit about the next thing your guys working on that is very present, which is the locals campaign.
Correct. I'm going to let Stacy sort of talk to that issue, because I think it's an interesting idea of how what we can do now to sort of create a runway for eventual reopening. But also, I should let Stacy do this. She's the mastermind of this.
Great.
So in any case, we know that, first of all, we're just blessed that we get to live in a destination like Paso Robles. And so oftentimes tourism creates an amazing lifestyle that our residents get to enjoy. And sometimes that gets a little ruffled because, it's busy and those darn tourists are here. And we now have an opportunity to kind of refocus and re-emphasize the importance of really supporting locally. The fact that the tourists are now gone, and as we look to reopen our awesome community, I think the idea of supporting locals first and a campaign that really encourages our local community to come out and be part of the tourism infrastructure that we have is a real opportunity for us. So there's a proposal right now that's being worked on that will go in front of City Council to allow various options for to help reboot our community and reboot downtown. And some of those might include how do we augment and utilize our beautiful downtown park for more al fresco dining, if you will. So to really help spearhead more of the takeout that we have seen happening that has become so successful. As restaurants are going to be forced to remove 50% of their dining space and capacity due to social distancing, what are new options that they can look at to help increase some of that footprint and floor space for them? So various options of, can we move some dining into the streets? Can we look at new ideas like parklets? Can we recirculate the way we park downtown by looking at some really unique public-private partnerships to help really look at how do we all take a piece in creating a resolution? And then with that, allowing some time for our businesses to really look at what the new standards and the new way of doing business so we can really prepare for guests to return to Paso Robles. So the hope is if we can get restaurants strong, our retail partners strong, get wineries open back up, when of course the governor allows us to do those things, how do we all work within our new set of normal? So in time when travel is again allowed, we can invite those guests back.
Yeah. And it's kind of makes me think about, I think this idea of how do we do it with ourselves as locals. And once we get really good at it, like we got really good at becoming great hosts to the world in food and wine and all of that, then we've got something even better going for us. And, we talked a little bit about, how are we going to do this safely? And like we said, we're not talking about politics. I certainly personally do not believe this is a political situation at all, but a health issue. And so how do we do this as far as some of these ideas, like how do we safely bring people into the park, which I love. I think it's a great idea. I am all for letting restaurants be able to provide the food and all these things. But I would like to see us be responsible citizens for our community. What do you think?
Yeah, and Gina, you mentioned, I think the responsibility is something we each have to take in our own, heart of hearts. So, none of us like to follow rules, right?
Right.
There's always rules and guidelines, but I think it becomes a personal responsibility. So, personally, if I'm going out, if I need to run to Lowe's, or if I'm going out into public, I really believe it's my personal responsibility to put on my mask and to make sure that I'm properly distancing from the next person by me. I'm a walker. I like to get out in the morning and walk. And it's not like I don't like to say hello to everybody I'm walking to, but it's saying hello from that safe distance away and making sure we're acknowledging and being respectful of the situation that we are in. And so I really personally feel like it's a personal responsibility. At the same time, it's important to us as we start to move into this locals campaign that we do portray and practice safe measures. So we see that by increased signage. We see that by ensuring that local sanitation efforts are put in place. If we move forward with this downtown park aspect, making sure that it's clean and that it's safe, that the tables are safely distanced, and so all of those pieces have been talked about. There was a whole set of standards that the Wine Institute has recently put out that we were all looking at from a winery perspective.
That. Very good.
And that's another piece of safety measures. And, we've got some wineries that are taking it to another level, saying, okay, we will not share. Our staff is going to have separate bathrooms than our guests are going to have, for example. So what is it that every business owner is going to take on their responsibility? And then we're just going to ask our guests to take on their responsibility as well. And hopefully together we can all move through this, because that's what it's going to take. We all have to kind of put an oar in the water and move this thing forward, because I think with strength in numbers, we'll be able to get there. But we do have to kind of put that safety first and foremost. If we're not safe, we're all going to be sheltering at home the rest of the summer. I don't think anybody wants that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would add one thing too, is that, these are the like sort of dining in the park, as you mentioned, Gina. These are just sort of the machinations behind the scenes, so that once we're allowed to do this by state law, or by state mandate, that we're ready. And that's what all this work we've been in conjunction with the county, with people at the state level, with people at the Wine Institute, the PRWCA. There's this huge machine behind it to make sure that once the ban is reduced, or however it's going to look in, say, the next few weeks, that Paso Robles is ready to move forward and safely into that stage.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, I just want to let people know, if you're just catching us right now, this is the Heart of Paso, and we are talking to Stacy and Mike, who are representing Travel Paso, and we're discussing how Paso Robles is acting as a community within COVID, and also what we hope to see come out of it for all of us, and hopefully be good stewards here, I think, too, for our community, right? As we share some ideas and thoughts on how we can all take care of each other. I've said this at least once on the show, if not more, but I'll say it again. I'm often reminded, I don't know if anybody or if you guys have seen the video. I think it may have been from like a Special Olympics video or something, where their kids are running on the track, and one runner falls down and all the rest run back to help the other runner cross the finish line instead of going out there by themselves. And I love that idea of an arm-in-arm responsibility to all get there together, because if you're out there by yourself, it's not that great. Right. And I think a lot of us love Paso Robles, because I know that's one of the reasons I moved here. I moved here from Los Angeles, lived there for 20 years, loved the big city, but we're here for a great reason. And I think you're saying too, this whole locals only campaign about, oh my God, you guys, we are in what a good friend of mine calls 5-star quarantine.
I like that.
We live in an incredible place.
That's right.
So, right.
Well, what's incredible is that, let's say just talking about the wine industry in general, I was just going to talk about how everyone is working together on the same team, and it was seamless. And for someone that's moved to the area as well just a few years ago, it just astounds me. It's so funny in the wine industry, as I was going to say, people already know that we all help each other.
Mm-hmm.
That effort, and that extends beyond the wine industry. It's the restaurateurs, it's Main Street vendors, public officials as well. There really is a collaborative community effort in Paso, and you can just see it day to day as we work toward reopening.
Let's go. That reminded me of the other story we wanted to show from the website, just even like how some of our great distilleries have, I'm going to bring this up real quick. Let's see, as some of us know, and there's video on this, correct?
Yeah, there's some video, I think, of Cal Wise spirits in there. It was one of the examples of local distilleries.
So this is on the website.
Yeah.
And this is something that's being obviously distributed fairly widely as well for people outside of our town to see.
Yeah. There's definitely been a promotional arm to the fact that Paso Robles has been almost on the forefront, at least in California, of just to back up, the Paso Robles distillery trail. I don't know if a lot of people know this, and maybe our locals don't know it. I think they just know that we have really good spirits here, and that a lot of them are winemakers, right?
Yeah.
But there's about 14 of these craft distilleries in Paso, and Paso Robles, with the leadership of Refined, the Villacanas at Refined, they are the ones that were very instrumental in sort of helping define and breaking back some of the Prohibition era laws to allow more distilleries to exist. With their leadership, they're very they help other distilleries get online. That community, another example of our great community working together. Anyway, Paso Robles is literally sort of like ground zero, if you will, like a nucleus, if you will, of the craft spirits movement in California as a whole.
Wow.
And so that's been established. And what's interesting is that right when this hit, they were some of the first in the state, and I think in the country really, to turn their distillate into hand sanitizers.
Wow.
Cal Wise is the video.
In the country, huh?
Yeah. Cal Wise is one of them. Crowbar, another great one. They donated, I think it was like some 2,400 gallons of sanitizer to the Office of Emergency Services in SLO. They're helping down in San Diego. There's people up north that have gotten some distillate from Azeo. So yeah, it just immediately, it was so fun our job to help promote it was simply to let people know that this was available. We wanted emergency service workers to know. And almost by proxy, we were promoting Paso. But first and foremost, what we were promoting was there's sanitizer available from these Paso Robles distilleries. You should get them if you need it.
Right.
So, I mean, what a fun, we're usually trying to get people in, as Stacy mentioned, we're trying to get people to come travel and spend money here. But we got to switch and say, like, look, we're really doing good here. Here's how you can get some of this to continue in this, the massive shortage that they were facing the first couple of weeks. Distilleries like Paso Robles Distillery Trail members really stepped up.
Yeah, and it's well, just that you mentioned that alone is this armchair travel idea it's armchair commerce too. I mean, we've obviously a lot of businesses have had to really, really look at their e-commerce and switch to it if they hadn't already. So it's got to help us. A lot of businesses, obviously the food, and I mean, I do know the wine, obviously a lot of wineries are doing great. Their wine sales are up retail wise, right? It's like something, who was up, and I was reading that actually San Antonio winery, who owns Stella Rosa, 200%, their sales are up 200% since this hit. And I like to think that not everybody's drowning in their sorrows, but there's a lot of people who love to travel, love great food, love good wine, and they're not going out to restaurants or traveling to buy it. So they're going to buy the good wine and drink it at home and just enjoy life right now, which we all should be doing anyways. So,
Hear, hear.
Yeah, right. So I think that's a really good positive. So what do you guys think? How are you positioning us to bounce back from this as far as, okay, let's say we're the next couple of months, we really get honed in on how we can. I really love you. I have to bring it up again. I love this idea of the dining in the streets and that kind of thing. It reminds me of traveling in Europe and Italy and France and Spain, right? And we have our little bit of alfresco dining now, but it's really cool to think of it as an expansion. And I could just see the lights in the park and all of that and the beauty of it. Let's say we get really good at that, but people are still afraid to travel. So, and maybe it's going to take us a while to get it back. But what do you guys think? How are we going to bounce back?
Yeah, I think I love that vision you just created. I was getting really excited listening to you talk about the plans that we're trying to put forward. Thank you for that, Gina.
I like that, dining in the streets.
Yeah, but how are we going to prepare for that? Well, first and foremost, this runway of the locals campaign is going to be really helpful because it's going to help us all kind of figure out the pitfalls and figure out that safety component, and not only talking about safety, but really practicing and putting that as our forefront. And not that we never, I don't want to make it sound like Paso is a not safe place, but all the rules have changed, right? When we're dealing with this pandemic. So safety has been reset in terms of the health safety standards. But with that, we also know that people are excited to get here, and our drive market is really, really important to us. So we have this vision of our next tier of campaign, once we're able to invite guests back, is to really focus on road trips. And really take that as an opportunity. We have so many cool back roads here, and just the road trip of getting here is awesome. I mean, I don't know the last time you drove up and down the 101, but it's just beautiful.
Gorgeous.
No matter which way you go. And right now you're starting to see it's turning from green to golden, which is kind of that cool transitional time of year that's happening. The coast is fantastic. So we are surrounded by amazing road trips. So we want to augment that and invite those people that can get in their car and come drive for 2, 3, 4 hours and make Paso Robles their destination. And when they get here, we want to fulfill that promise that we're a safe place, that we're going to have amazing experiences, that we're going to have awesome dining, great wine, and we're going to be ready for them in the post-COVID or during COVID times, because we want to make sure that we are that respite and that place of serenity for folks coming.
Yeah. And we truly are. I think you guys are on the right track. I love that you're super involved with the clear message. I love this whole locals campaign and the thoughts moving forward. So thank you so much for being so proactive in every aspect of the present situation and what we're, looking for planning in the future. Everybody I've talked to, I think so far on my show, I love it because everyone I talk to has been talking to pretty much everybody else who's been on the show. We are that tight-knit community. Like you said, right? The businesses work together. You can't be overly competitive. The wine industry proved that. You can't be out there for yourself. You won't survive. We all need each other. And that's what I wanted to make sure that people still grasp. And that truly is the heart of this town. So thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, you could put them in the chat. You could also message us at any time. Message Stacy or Mike, I guess. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Best way to get in contact with you both or either would be through Travel Paso or...
Yeah, actually, if you go to the Travel Paso, there's a media link, and we both get those emails. That's probably the easiest way. So if you go to travelpaso.com and you go under media, Mike and I get all those messages.
You're the ones that that info. There we go. About Paso media. Yep. That's them. Is that you there, ziplining?
No, but
and there's our beautiful town. There's a lot of good stuff on here. Great. Well, thanks you guys so much for being a part of this and for doing the great work that you're doing. It's really appreciated. And I just appreciate your time today for getting us all excited about what we can do.
Well, Gina, thank you so much for doing this. This is a great service to our community, and we appreciate your hard work in getting the word out there and talking to the other businesses and, with a positive attitude. And that's what's going to get us all through this.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks guys much. And if you are just catching the tail end of this, I was just finishing talking to Mike Dawson and Stacy Jacob from Travel Paso. Please go ahead and watch the beginning of this video, share it. We were talking about a lot of great things on how our tourism industry has been helping our community, all the businesses together. Travel Paso as an organization, we've talked about how there's a great locals program that they're working on to help us open back up safely and to really prep us to be the premier travel destination to be. Not only to be, we already are that. We were that right before we got into this mess. These guys have been so responsible for bringing in all kinds of great PR for us, from the New York Times to Travel and Leisure, putting us, at the number 6 spot in the world for travel. It's amazing, right? And that's why we've all benefited so much from such great travel and tourism here. So, thank you. Please, like I said, share the video. You can catch it on YouTube, and I will be back as of right now, either tomorrow or possibly might be Wednesday, but I'll send you a post, and we got a lot of great people coming up in the next week. So have a great night. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.